Looking for the perfect heart granny square pattern that is easy to remember and ends up with this gorgeous, solid crochet finish? This tutorial is for you. Hi, it's Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Today I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous and super easy crochet heart granny square. This super easy granny square for beginners also finishes in a stitch count that lets it mix and match with traditional granny squares, so multiples of 3 for every round, and you can just mix and match it with any other granny square if you want to. You can also make it bigger just by continuing this last round. To make your solid heart granny squares, you're going to need yarn. I'm using size 4 worsted weight acrylic yarn, so just regular acrylic yarn, and just little scraps of it. You need 5 grams for the center and about 8 grams of white, or whatever color you're using to turn it into the square. I'm also using a 6mm crochet hook. You'll need a pair of scissors and a needle for sewing in your ends. Here are the timestamps. You can jump back into where you left off, and let's get started. To start your solid granny square heart, grab your heart-colored yarn, make a slip knot any which way you normally do, shrink that down, and pop it onto your hook. You could use a magic ring if you prefer. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to just slip stitch into that very first chain we made. We're going to slip stitch into that first chain to form a ring. So get everything underneath your hook with your yarn following along, your tail, nice little U shape, and hold that open with your finger and thumb. And slip stitch to form a ring and chain 2. So our chain 2 does not count as a stitch. We're going to make 11 double crochets into the center of our ring, taking care to work over our tail. So 11 double crochets into the center of your ring, working over your tail. If you work over your tail, you can either pull it shut and sew it in or just cut your tail off, depending. So it's easier to go over your tail if you can, but not the end of the world if you are new to crochet. So pause the video. You want 11 double crochets into the center of your ring. And if you run out of room, you could just grab those starting stitches and slide your new stitches back, and that'll give you more space to lay your stitches nice and flat side by side. So 11 double crochets into the center of your ring, and I'll meet you back. 10 and 11. To count your stitches, we don't count our chain, so I just cover that chain with my thumb and then count around after that chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. You want to make sure you have the right stitch count for this heart, for sure. It needs to be 11 double crochets, not including your chain. Now we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first double crochet right there. So ignoring our chain, it doesn't count. We're just going to go right into the top of that first stitch. So slip stitch to join. And you can, I'm using some tension on my yarn, so I'm doing a small little slip stitch right at the top of my hook, just like that. And now chain 2. So again, the chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. And into the same stitch right here, we're going to make 2 double crochets. So wrapping your yarn into the very same stitch, 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around. So you can pause the video, 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you back when we get all the way over here, right there. If you'd like to follow along with the written pattern, all of my patterns are available on my website, secretyarnery.com, and all of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I was sitting there right beside you. When you get back to the top of your circle, You've made 22 double crochets, not including that chain. We want to have 23, so we're going to put another double crochet right into this stitch at the bottom of our chain. That little tiny guy right there, we're going to throw in one double crochet right there. We want a total of 23 double crochets. There, just like that. And now again, we're ignoring our chain. We're going to slip stitch right into the top of that first double crochet to join. So just pop your hook in and another small little slip stitch to join. And this time we're just going to chain one. And into the next stitch right here, that's where we're going to start shaping our heart. So into this next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet and a double crochet, all into the same stitch. Just like that. Now into each of the next 3 stitches, we're going to make 2 treble crochets into each. So wrapping your yarn twice and into that next stitch, 2 treble crochets. So that's a triple takeoff. So wrapping your yarn twice, and then we take off 3 times. So take off 2, and take off 2. So there's our first 2 treble crochets. We want to do that into each of the next 2 stitches. So 2 treble crochets into each of the next 2 stitches. So a total of 6 treble crochets into a total of 3 stitches. If I'm going too fast or too slow, you can speed me up or slow me down with using that gear on the video right there. Now into the next stitch, 2 double crochets. So 2 double crochets into the next stitch. 2 half double crochets into the next. So that's taking off all 3 loops at once. And now into each of the next 3 stitches, we're going to make 1 single crochet into each. So into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next, 1 single crochet, and into the third, 1 single crochet. So that is the top of our heart. Now we're going to work on the bottom. So into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet. And into the next stitch, we're going to do 1 double crochet and 1 treble crochet into the same stitch. So there's my half double crochet. Wrap your yarn twice and a treble crochet into the very same stitch. Just like that. So that is half of our heart done. Now we're just going to mirror that all the way back along the other side. So chain 1 and into the next stitch, 1 treble crochet and 1 double crochet. Into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet. Into each of the next 3 stitches, 1 single crochet into each. Into the next stitch, 2 half double crochets. Into the next stitch, 2 double crochets. And into each of the next 3 stitches, we're going to do 2 treble crochets into each. So wrapping your yarn twice and 2 treble crochets into each of the next 3 stitches. So there's 2 treble crochets into 2 stitches. So into my last stitch, 2 treble crochets, or into the next stitch actually. 2 treble crochets. Into the last stitch, 1 double crochet and 1 half double crochet into the same stitch, just like that. And now we're going to slip stitch to join. So I'm going to slip stitch right here, a nice little small slip stitch to join, just to pin down that side of the heart into that valley. So shrink up your yarn, want it to be nice and tight, and chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn. You can leave it long enough to sew in with a tail, or sew in with a needle if you are sewing them in. If you want to shrink shut this center hole, you can pull that tail and sew it in. If you don't care about that center hole, you can just go ahead and cut off that tail. So there is your super cute heart. Now we are ready to turn it into a granny square. To turn your heart into a granny square, go ahead and grab your color yarn that you're going to use for making the square. I'm just going to be using some white yarn for mine. And now we're going to start in a particular stitch. So find the bottom point of your heart and just rotate it so we are working towards that point. And just cover up that chain 1 with your finger and thumb. We want to be skipping 3 stitches. So skipping 1, 2, 3, and starting in number 4 right there. So pop your hook into that 4th stitch from the bottom. Grab a loop of your new yarn, pop that onto your hook, bring it through, slip stitch with both strands to join, dropping your tail, and chaining 3. 1, 2, and 3. So this counts as our first treble crochet. Into that same stitch, we're going to make 2 more treble crochets, and you can work over your tail for these stitches. So wrapping your yarn twice, and into that same stitch, 2 treble crochets. So there's 1 and 2. Just like that. Into the next stitch, which is right here, we're going to make 1 double crochet. Into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet. And into the next stitch, 1 single crochet. Now we're going to skip that chain. We're not doing anything into the chain. We're going to work into that next stitch, that next treble crochet. So into our next stitch, right there, we're going to do our single crochet. So we're just going to mirror what we did on this side. So there's our single crochet. Then we're going to do half double, double, and 3 trebles. So into our next stitch, half double crochet. Into our next stitch, double crochet. Into our next stitch, we're going to start our corner. So our corner is 3 treble crochets, all into the same stitch. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, and into the next stitch, 3 treble crochets. So wrapping yarn twice, 3 treble crochets into the next stitch. There's 1, 2, and 3. Like that. So that's the bottom of our heart. Now we're working up the side. We're going to do 1 double crochet into 2 stitches. So there's 1 double crochet, and into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. And then each of the next 2 stitches, 1 half double crochet into each. So 2 half double crochets, 1 into each stitch. Each of the next stitches, the next 3 stitches, gets a single crochet. So 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. Like that. And into the next stitch, 2 double crochets. 2 double crochets into the same stitch. Like that. Chain 2. Into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. Into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet. Into the next stitch, 1 single crochet. And then 1 half double crochet into the next. And 1 double crochet into the next. So we're right down in that valley. Now into the valley, this is a little bit tricky because this is where we've joined, so it's a bit slip-stitchy and knobbly in there. I'm just going to go into this center spot right here. And I'm going to make 2 double crochets right into that valley. 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Like that. And now we're just going to repeat or the same in the opposite order, going back down this side. Into our next stitch, 1 double crochet, 1 half double crochet into the next, 1 single crochet into the next, 1 half double crochet, 1 double crochet. So on each side of our 2 double crochets in the center, there's 5 stitches on each side before the corner. That's how you can tell if you're getting it right. That is how it's going to be. Chain 2, and into the next stitch, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And now we're working along this last side of our heart right here. Into the next 3 stitches, 1 single crochet into each. 1, 2, and 3. 2 half double crochets, 1 into each of the next 2 stitches. So 1 half double crochet into 1 stitch, and 1 half double crochet into the next, and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 double crochet, and into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. And now into this next stitch, we're going to do our corner, so that's 3 treble crochets. So wrapping your yarn twice, 3 treble crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. So there is our square so far. Super cute. Now we're ready to join. We're going to do 1 more round just to even it out. So I'm going to join with a chain 1 and a single crochet into the top of our chain. So our chain counts as a stitch for this round. So a single crochet into the top of the chain to join. And that just ends us in the center of that corner, so we don't see our chain going up the side of our granny square. Chain 2, 1 and 2. This does count as a stitch for this pattern. Into the same corner space, 1 double crochet. And now we're going to skip this first stitch, which is a chain. We're skipping that first stitch and going into the second right here. So 1 double crochet. And now 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way along this side. So you can pause the video, 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way along until you reach the corner. So there's my last double crochet into that last stitch. Now I'm into my corner space. So for your corners are 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets into the same corner space. So there's my first 2 double crochets, chaining 2, and 2 more double crochets into that same corner space. Just like that. So now for this round, we're going to be skipping the first stitch after each corner. So see how our stitches have kind of covered up that first stitch, which is right there? We're not going to work into that stitch. We're going to skip it, and we're going to work into the second. That's going to keep our stitch count perfect for matching traditional granny squares or sets of 3 stitches. So skipping that first stitch, working into the second, which is right there, 1 double crochet into that second stitch. So just letting that corner cover up that first stitch for us. And now 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way along this side. And I'll meet you at this corner coming up. So I've gone into my very last stitch right there. I'm at my corner. So corners are 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets all into the same corner space. So there's my 2 double crochets and my chain 2. I'm not going to slide those stitches back. I'm just going to keep crocheting. They can cover up that first stitch, just like that. So see how they've covered up that stitch? I'm going to ignore that stitch, and I'm going to start in the second stitch right there. So that is going to be my first stitch along the side. So 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way along the sides. When you get to your corners, corners are 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. Letting those double crochets cover up that first stitch, we skip it, and we start our side into the second stitch. So pause the video, finish off this side and your corner, and I will meet you when you get right over here where we began. When you get back to where we began, we're just going to finish off that corner. So I've done my last double crochet into the last stitch. So 2 double crochets into that same corner space. And if you're going to keep going, adding more rounds on your granny squares, making them larger, you can join the same way with a chain 1 and a single crochet into the top of the chain to join. So single crochet to join. I just hold that corner open with my finger and thumb, chain 2, and 1 double crochet into that same corner space, and then skipping the first stitch, working in, or skipping the chain and working into that stitch, our first real double crochet to start. So same as we did for this round, you can just continue doing the same thing all the way around until your granny square is the size you want it to be. For this tutorial, we're going to be finishing off at this size. So to finish off, we're going to chain 2 and slip stitch into the top of our chain to join. So we're just going to slip stitch to join. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through, snug that down to secure. Sew in your tails, and you're finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video up there, and stay hooked.